We've been talking a lot about spending in the federal budget and tax dollars, but there's another side to the ledger that sooner or later, in my judgment, we need to talk about. Here's what I'm getting at. 25% of the land in the United States of America is owned by the federal government. 25%. In some states, it's a lot more than 25%. That's just an average. It's 620 million acres. Now, if you inherited 620 million acres, what would you do? Well, the first thing you would do is you would be careful to conserve it out of respect for the land. You would want to make sure that land wasn't contaminated, that it was properly fenced. You'd want to preserve it. Second thing you would do is say, well, how can I monetize this property? I got 620 million acres here. I'm land poor. What can I do to have the land generate some income? Under our federal government, the Bureau of Land Management is responsible for managing the 620 million acres. And the charge to our Bureau is to do a couple of things. Number one, conserve the land. Number two, make sure, because it belongs to the American people, make sure that people have an opportunity to recreate on the land. And number three, see if you can manage the land in a way to generate cash. Why is that important? Why is that especially important right now? Our debt's $36.5 trillion. What does that mean? I mean, we throw around this figure of $1 trillion. We can hardly get our mind around. At least I can hardly get mine around. Our debt is so high, and we're paying so much interest that the debt grows by $1 trillion every 100 days. So this 36.5 trillion figure, 100 days from now, a little over 3 months, it's going to be 37.5 trillion. That's how fast the debt's growing. This number is so high, and we're paying so much in interest that debt accrues at $10 billion a day, not million, $10 billion a day. $417 million, it goes up an hour. 6.9, let's call it 7 million a minute. What have I've been talking, 3 minutes? The debt just got increased $21 million. And we've got to pay that money back. This is not funny money. We're talking about how to start paying it back by reducing our spending, but there's another way. It's to generate income through our 620 million acres of land. Take our national parks, for example. First thing we want to do with our natural parks is preserve them. I mean, they're beautiful. That's why they're national parks. We want to preserve them and respect them and protect them environmentally and otherwise. We also want to allow people to enjoy them. And we do that by telling folks, come on in. You have to pay an entrance fee, but it's reasonable if you want to come in and camp or just walk around and enjoy the scenery, go on a hike. And that generates some money. You don't want the entrance fee to be too high, but you want it to be reasonable. And in some of our national parks actually allow mining, oil and gas production, timber production, so that increases income as well. I have seen an estimate from the private sector, there's several of these, that our public land, our $620 million, if we managed that land properly, could generate $90 million in revenue. $90 million could be generated by our public land. How? Through mineral harvesting, natural gas production, oil drilling, grazing for agriculture, hunting licenses, fishing licenses, camping permits. You know what our federal lands actually generate in money? We know the potential, $90 billion a year. That'd help us pay down this debt. In 2023, our federal lands actually lost money. They lost $13 billion. We went from a potential of $90 billion, according to land use experts, that's what they ought to be generating, to a loss of $13 billion. It's embarrassing. Now, I don't want to blame all of it on the past administration. It wasn't all President Biden's fault, but some of it was. Under President Biden, not him, but his people, he appointed them, they banned offshore drilling off of most of America's coastlines. They prohibited mining on over 1 million acres of lands. They canceled leases for oil and natural gas production. They paused all new permits for LNG, which Europe is hungry for. They restricted hunting, they restricted fishing, they restricted hiking. And they buried our federal lands in red tape. That's why we lost $13 billion instead of gaining $90 billion a year. It doesn't have to be this way. All we have to do is look at the states. The states have state land. They don't have 620 million acres like the federal government does, but they got a lot of land. The states have worked very hard to increase the revenue on their state lands while preserving them. Arizona, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, all we have to do is copy them. Their activities, their preservation of their property, but their monetizing of their state lands has produced over the past few years an average return of $14.51 for every $1 those states have invested. So the states spend $1 on their state lands, they get back 15 bucks. Pretty good return. And they haven't sacrificed air quality. They've protected their lakes and rivers, and they've preserved their state land. The federal government, for every $1 we spend on our public land, we get back 73 cents. So we put out $1 and we get back 73 cents. You don't have to be Euclid to see that we're going backwards here. We need to do better. And I know that the focus right now, Madam President, is on spending, and it should be. And it's on designing a tax code that looks like somebody designed it on purpose, and it should be. All those things are important. But at some point, we need to recognize the enormous amount of assets that the American people own through their federal government. And the fact that we are actually losing money by the way we are managing them instead of generating money. And once again, this is not, you don't have to be an astrophysicist to figure this out. All we got to do is call Arizona, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, and probably West Virginia, and just say, would y'all come up to Washington? We'll buy you a soda and give you a nice hat if you'll come on up here and tell us how you're doing it, and just copy what they're doing.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.